But since I am doing the works, even if you are not believing me, the works be believing, in order that you may come to know by experience and continue knowing that in me the Father is, and I in the Father. Thereupon they kept on seeking again to seize him, and he went forth out of their hand. And he went off again to the other side of the Jordan, to the place where John at the first was baptizing. And he was dwelling there. And many came to him and were saying, John did not perform even one attesting miracle, but all things, as many as John spoke concerning this one, were true. And many believed in him there. Now there was a certain one sick, Lazarus from Bethany, from the village of Mary and Martha, her sister. Now it was Mary, she who anointed the Lord with ointment, and who wiped dry his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore the sisters sent word to him, saying, Lord, behold, he of whom you are fond is sick. And Jesus, having heard, said, This sickness is not with reference to death, but for the sake of the glory of God, in order that the Son of God might be glorified through it. Now Jesus was loving Martha and her sister and Lazarus with a love divine in its essence and self-sacrificial in its nature. Therefore, when he heard that he was ill, at that time he remained in the place where he was 2 days. Then, after this, he says to the disciples, Let us be going into Judea again. The disciples say to him, Rabbi, the Jews were but now seeking to stone you, and again are you going there? Answered Jesus, Are there not 12 hours of daytime? If a person is walking about in the day, he does not stumble, because the light of this world he sees. But if a person is walking about in the night, he stumbles, because the light just mentioned is not in him. These things he said, and after this he says to them, Lazarus, our friend, has fallen asleep, but I am setting out in order that I may awaken him. Then the disciples said to him, Lord, since he has fallen asleep, he will recover. However, Jesus had spoken of his death, but those supposed that he was speaking of taking rest in sleep. Then, therefore, Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus died. And I am rejoicing for your sakes that I was not there, in order that you may believe. But let us be going to him. Then Thomas, the one commonly called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let us also be going, in order that we may die with him. Then Jesus, having come, found that he had been already 4 days in the tomb. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles. And many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary in order to console them concerning their brother. Then Martha, when she heard that Jesus is coming, went and met him. But Mary kept on sitting in the house. Then Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother in that case would not have died. And now I know positively that whatever you may ask God, God will give it to you. Jesus says to her, Your brother will arise. Martha says to him, I know of a surety that he will arise in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said to her, I myself am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, even if he die, shall live. And everyone who lives and believes on me shall positively never die. Do you believe this? She says to him, Yes, Lord. As for myself, I have believed and do so now that you are the Christ, the Son of God, he who comes into this world. And having said this, she went off and secretly called Mary, her sister, saying, The teacher is present and is calling for you. Now, when that one heard, she arises quickly and went on her way to him. Now, Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha met him. Therefore the Jews, those who were with her in the house and were consoling her, having seen Mary that she had arisen quickly and had gone out, followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb in order to weep there. Then Mary, when she had come where Jesus was, having seen him, fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, If you had been here, in that case my brother would not have died." Then Jesus, when he saw her weeping audibly, and the Jews who had come with her weeping audibly, was moved with indignation in his spirit, and deeply troubled himself, and said, "Where have you laid him?" They say to him, "Lord, be coming and see." Jesus burst into tears and wept silently. Then the Jews were saying, "Behold, how fond he was of him." But certain ones of them said, "Was not this man able, who opened the eyes of the one who was blind, to have caused that even this one should not die?" Jesus, again moved with indignation in himself, comes to the tomb. Now it was a cave, and a stone was lying upon it. Jesus says, "Remove the stone at once." The sister of the one who had died, Martha, says to him, "Lord, already there is an offensive odor, for it is 4 days." Jesus says to her, "Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you will see the glory of God?" Then they lifted up the stone and took it away, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you because you heard me. Moreover, I knew positively that you always hear me. But on account of the crowd which is standing around, I spoke, in order that they may come to believe that you sent me on a mission." And having said these things, he shouted with a great voice, "Lazarus, here, out." There came out the dead man, bound securely, as to his feet and his hands with swathing bands, and his face was bound around with a handkerchief. Jesus says to them, "Untie him at once and permit him to be departing." Therefore many of the Jews, those who had come to Mary and had viewed attentively that which he did, believed in him. But certain ones among them went off to the Pharisees and told them the things which Jesus did. Therefore the chief priests and the Pharisees convoked a council, and were saying, "What are we doing? For this man is performing many attesting miracles. If we disregard him in this manner, all will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation." But a certain one of them, Caiaphas, being chief priest that year, said to them, "As for you, you do not know even one thing, nor do you take into account the fact that it is to your interest that one man die on behalf of the people, and that not the whole nation be destroyed. But this man from himself as a source he did not speak, but being chief priest that year, he predicted that Jesus was about to be dying on behalf of the nation, and not on behalf of the nation only, but in order that also the children of God, which have been scattered abroad, he might gather together into one. Therefore from that day they took counsel together to be killing him off. Therefore Jesus no longer walked about openly among the Jews, but went off from there into the country near the uninhabited region, to a city called Ephraim, and there he dwelt with his disciples. Now there was near the Passover of the Jews, and many went up to Jerusalem out of the country before the Passover, in order that they might ceremonially purify themselves. Then they went to seeking Jesus, and were conversing with one another as they stood in the temple. "What do you think? He certainly will not come to the feast, will he?" Now the chief priests and the Pharisees had given commandments to the effect that if anyone knows where he is, he should make it known, in order that they might apprehend him. Now Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus raised out from among the dead. So they made him there a meal at eventide, supper. And Martha was serving, but Lazarus was one of those who were at the table with him. Then Mary, having taken a pound of nard ointment, unadulterated, very valuable, spread it on the feet of Jesus, rubbed it in, and dried his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the aroma of the ointment. Then Judas the Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, says, "Why was not this ointment sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor people?" But he said this not because he was concerned about the poor, but because he was a pilferer, and holding the purse, purloined the things thrown in. Then Jesus said, "Let her alone. It was in order that with a view to the day of the preparation of my body for the atonement, she might take care of it. For the poor always you have with you, but me you do not always have." Then the common people among the Jews learned that he was there, and they came, not only because of Jesus, but also in order that they might see Lazarus, whom he raised out from among the dead. But the chief priests took counsel to kill Lazarus also, since many of the Jews because of him went away and were believing in Jesus. The next day the common people who came to the feast, having heard that Jesus is coming into Jerusalem, took the branches of the palm trees and went out with a view to meeting him. And they kept on shouting, "Save now! Let him who comes in the name of the Lord, the one who in times past has been eulogized, be regarded as such at present, even the King of Israel." And Jesus, having found a young donkey, sat upon it, even as it stands written, "Stop fearing, daughter of Sion. Behold, your king is coming, seated upon a donkey's colt." These things his disciples did not understand at the first. But when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things had been written of him and were on record, and that these things they did to him. Then the crowd which was with him, when he called Lazarus out from the tomb and raised him out from among the dead, kept on bearing testimony. On this account also the crowd went and met him, because they heard that he had performed this attesting miracle. Therefore the Pharisees said to one another, "Be considering that you are not doing even one thing that would be of help to us. Look, the world went away after him." Now, there were some among those who went up, Greeks, for the purpose of worshipping at the feast. Then these went to Philip, the one from Bethsaida of Galilee, and they were requesting him, saying, "Sir, we are desiring to see Jesus." Philip goes and tells Andrew. Andrew goes and Philip, and they tell Jesus. And Jesus answered them, saying, "The hour is come, and is here, in order that the Son of Man be glorified. Most assuredly I am saying to you, unless the grain of wheat, having fallen into the earth, die, it itself remains alone. But if it die, much fruit it bears. He who is fond of his soul life is losing it, and he who is hating his soul life in the sphere of this world with a view to life eternal is preserving it safe and unimpaired. If anyone habitually serves me, let him as a habit of life keep on following with me, and where I am, there also the servant who is mine shall be. If anyone is serving me, him will the Father honor. Now has my soul been troubled, with the result that it is in a state of agitation. And what shall I say? Father, save me in and through and out of this hour? Certainly, on account of this I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then there came a voice out of heaven. I both glorified it and will again glorify it. Then the crowd, the one standing by and hearing, was saying, Thunder has come to pass. Others were saying, An angel has spoken to him. Answered Jesus and said, Not on my account has this voice come, but for your sakes. Now is a judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be thrown out, clean out. And as for myself, when I am lifted up, out from underneath the earth, all men I will draw to myself. And this he was saying, indicating what sort of death he was about to be dying. Then the crowd answered him, As for us, we heard out of the law that the Christ lives forever. And how is it that you are saying, It is a necessity in the nature of the case for the Son of Man to be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Therefore Jesus said to them, Yet a little time the light is among you. Be ordering your behavior according as you are having the light, in order that darkness may not overtake you. Indeed, he who is ordering his behavior within the sphere of the darkness just mentioned does not know where he is departing. According as you are having the aforementioned light, be believing in the light in order that you may become sons of light. These things Jesus spoke, and having gone off, he was hidden from them. But in spite of the fact that he had performed so many attesting miracles before them, They kept on not believing on him, in order that the word of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, who said, Lord, who believed our preaching? And the Lord's power, to whom was it revealed? On account of this they were not able to be believing, because again, said Isaiah, He has blinded their eyes, with the present result that they are still blind. And He hardened their heart, in order that they might not see with their eyes, and perceive with the heart, and change their mind, and I should heal them. These things said Isaiah because he saw his glory, and he spoke concerning him. Yet, nevertheless, even from among the rulers many believed on him, but because of the Pharisees they kept on not confessing, in order that they might not become those excluded from the synagogue. For they deemed precious the good opinion of men rather than the good opinion of God. And Jesus called out aloud and said, He who believes on me does not believe on me, but on him who sent me. And he who is contemplating me with discernment is contemplating with discernment him who sent me. I, in contradistinction to all others, have come a light into the world, in order that everyone who places his trust in me may not remain in the sphere of the darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not keep them, I am not judging him. For I did not come to be judging the world, but in order that I might save the world. He who rejects me and does not receive my words has the one who judges him. The word which I spoke, that will judge him on the last day. Because, as for myself, not from myself as a source did I speak, but he who sent me, the Father himself, has given me a commandment what I should say and what I should speak. And I know with a positive knowledge that his commandment is life eternal. Therefore, the things which I am speaking, just as the Father has spoken to me, thus do I speak. Now, before the feast of the Passover, Jesus, since he knew that his hour had come, with the purpose of which was that he should pass over out of this world to the Father, having loved with a divine, self-sacrificial love his uniquely owned ones, those in the world, he loved them to the uttermost. And supper being in progress, the devil having already hurled into the heart of Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, with a force so that it stayed there, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that all things the Father gave into his hands, and that from God he had come, and to God he was departing, arises from the supper and lays aside his outer garments, and having taken a towel, he bound it around himself. Next, he throws water into the basin and began to be washing the feet of the disciples, and to be wiping them off with the towel with which he was girdled. So he comes to Simon Peter. He says to him, You, my feet you are washing? Answered Jesus and said to him, That which I am doing, as for you, not now do you know with an absolute and complete knowledge, but you shall learn by experience after these things. Peter says to him, You shall by no means wash my feet, no, never. Jesus answered him, If I do not wash you, you do not have a part with me. Simon Peter says to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus says to him, He who has been bathed all over stays bathed, and does not have need except to wash his feet, but is entirely clean. And, as for you, you are clean ones, but not all. For he knew that one who was betraying him. On this account he said, Not all are clean ones. Then, when he had washed their feet, and had taken his outer garments, and had taken his place at the table again, he said to them, Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me the teacher and the Lord, and well do you say, for I am. Since therefore I, the Lord and the teacher, washed your feet, you also have a moral obligation to be washing one another's feet. For I gave to you an example that just as I did to you, you also should be doing. Most assuredly, I am saying to you, a slave is not greater than his master, nor even one who is sent on a mission greater than the one who sent him. Since you know these things, spiritually prosperous ones you are if you are doing them. Not concerning all of you am I speaking. I know whom I selected, but in order that the scripture may be fulfilled, he who eats bread with me lifted up his heel against me. From now on, I am telling you before it comes to pass, in order that you might be believing whenever it comes to pass that I am.